Good morning. Appreciate you guys being here with us today. Just really excited about Charlton Warren joining our staff as defensive coordinator. As we all know, a very critical position for us in our program. The job that Kane was able to do here this past season, and the growth that our defense showed, and the improvement that I expected us to have, and we did have from that unit, and now to be able to bring in Charlton to come to us from the University of Georgia. Just a lot of respect for where he's been, the man that he is. That's very important to me. To me, it's always about fit, and both recruiting players and recruiting coaches to our program. Fit to me is guys that are aligned philosophically in how you motivate, how you lead, how you build a family, how you build a program, how you build belief and confidence and trust in each other. And really found those values in Charlton. First of all, starts as a man, his character, his leadership, in his home. People that have worked with him. This is an individual I've not worked with before, but I feel very confident in the research and all the work that we put into this to be able to find an individual that has worked with guys that I know well, guys who I have worked with, that been with him side by side on a daily basis to know who he truly is. It's really only how you know that is over time, how that showed and proven out. So, and then obviously the ability to command and lead and capture both the coaches and the players on that side of the football. And that's really the key, for me. And then for the football side of it, been around some of the best defensive minds in this country collegiately, and that was important as well. And to bring in new ideas as a part of this process and even moving forward. So we have a system here we believe in, that we run defensively, that I brought here many years ago, and we continue to modify and mold and build and grow and develop. And that's what I expect to have moving forward. So just I'm so excited for our players to get to know him now. That process has begun, just to be able to shape them and to influence them in a way that I know he'll do at a very, very high level. So excited about him being with us, and excited to take some questions about it. Thank you.
All right, John, then Kevin.
You talked about, obviously there were some coaches you called or talked to. Where is there kind of an overlap? I mean, I know you had some time in the SEC. He's worked in the SEC. Are there any mutual connections that were pretty strong that really kind of made you believe in some of the things you were saying, or what is it? How would you?
I think that there are a couple coaches on the Georgia staff that I worked with personally for several years, and so know them very, very well. They know me well. They know what kind of environment we've created here, and because of working with myself and the things that I care about, and basically, my coaching philosophy, over all these years has manifested itself in the way we've built this program here. So they see that, they know that, and they've been with him. So that was big for me. And I think just also guys that I trust, that know me and know what we're about, what I care about, what's important to me. So that's really what it comes down to. It's still, when you hire somebody you haven't worked with, and I've done that with a few guys on our current staff right now that I hadn't worked with them before and didn't know them before, but either somebody on our current staff knew them well and understood that, or those that have worked with them, and that's kind of been the case. And so that to me is where it came to. But at the end of the day, you just you bring people in and you sit down with them. You start obviously on the phone, and then you have a chance to meet with them and talk things through, and that's where you just kind of confirms the things that you were told.
All right, Kevin, then Matt.
Yeah, Coach. Hey, you said you were going to take your time on this. I'm just curious about how wide a net you kind of casted over the last month in coming to this decision, and then what stood out particularly about Charlton and his defensive backs background. What made that kind of maybe a selling point, considering the talent you guys have at that area of the position?
Yeah, I think first of all, pretty broad net. Obviously, when you have a situation where and I've been pretty open and honest about this, and was open and honest in the whole process to everybody that I spoke with, is that I wasn't looking for somebody to come in here and bring their defense to Indiana and install it. That's not what we're doing here. We have a system we believe in as coaches, as players. But it's football. I mean, we're not doing something that guys have never seen before. But at the same time, it is a system that we have in place, and so to find somebody that that understood that and embraced that, and was excited about that, and so, but when you have the defense is played as well as we have, here, especially this past season, and I think the 2017 season, and then this past season were our top two defenses we've had, and so that to me was a big deal, to be able to guy that understood that and wanted to be able to embrace that role, and all the way from NFL guys talking to guys at the collegiate level, and so, it took my time with this and our time as a staff, and to be able to do a great job of getting the right fit and being able to make sure, because this is a very important decision without question. And so just making sure that it was, like I said, the fit, and just feeling good about that. And so the timing to me was I didn't want to be rushed. I wanted to make sure we were thorough and did a good job with that. But like I said, I think because you're not, maybe just saying, hey, let's go out and just get whatever system to bring here, it makes it a little bit different type of search than I would if I went for different purposes. And so I think it kind of maybe narrows the group a little bit in that regard. And then you talk about the secondary. I think that's the way the game's played. I just think the more guys that you have that are back end guys by trade, Kane was a back end guy. I know he was not a linebackers coach, and so he was a safeties coach, just like Charlton has been. And then learned to coach linebackers, and so that's kind of a very similar transition we're using with Charlton. His background is in the secondary, but I think kind of years ago was challenged with this thought, that as the game was being was transforming to a passing game within the last 8 to 10 years. I think that's become more the focus to make sure that that's where you're at your strength and at the best. My dad always taught me when I was a young coach that your DB's coach and your O-line coach are your two most important coaches, because that's where you're going to get beat the quickest on either side of the football. And so I don't think that's changed, in terms of from the secondary piece. But I do feel like that's it was definitely by design, and in terms of interest for me to be able to have that component, to be able to know that you got a guy, and there's no question that we got great secondary coaches. So I wasn't really looking to bring a guy to add to coach the secondary, but that from a knowledge perspective, understanding the ways that they've done things where he's been intrigues me to be able to expand and to grow as a defense, and that's exciting. You got, like I said, it matters to me. I know as I over the course of learning how to hire people and what to look for. I know Coach Dullahan he's influenced me in a major way in everything that I do, but even in hiring people, and always talked about just looking where guys have been, who they've been around, who they've learned from, to bring new ideas to your program. And so I know when I was hired, that was something he really was looking for. When I came from a different state, I'd spent most of my time coaching high school in Florida before I came to Ben Davis. And so just that whole concept, I think I've stayed true to that and believe in that. And so I think he brings that back end knowledge. But I was so impressed. I mean, his understanding of everything, all three levels, was at extremely high level throughout this process. And that also was which is obviously what you have to be able to do, put it all together as a coordinator.
All right, Matt and Tom.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm okay. I know the last couple of years, and especially this past season, you talked about how you were more hands off with the defense and kind of let Kane run it. With Coach Warren coming in and being kind of new to this defense, do you see yourself being a little bit more involved early on, just until he kind of gets his feet wet and kind of gets used to the defense? And also with him coaching linebackers, maybe a little bit more involved there, just, since it's a new position for him?
Yeah, I would say probably yes. I mean, it'd be no different than when Kane first came here, and he did come as linebackers coach first. And but I will say, and our players would attest to this, I'm in every single linebacker position meeting, and was all this past year and will be again. So it is the area that I focus on the most, obviously, and the position I coach the most in my past. And so that won't change. And yeah, I probably definitely more involved in the beginning without question. I think that would be natural to expect. And I want to be, he wants me to be, we are excited about that. And so, but yeah, I think it'd be similar to kind of just going through and just, being involved the way I've always been in terms of meeting wise, but just going through, and we're showing it right now. We're just going through the process of just teaching what we do and how we call things, because everybody calls things a little different. I mean, a lot of times we do the same thing. It's just a different term that you use, and obviously he's going to adapt to the way we call things. That's what our players know. We got so many guys back on this team overall, and back on our defense. So definitely going to be keeping those things consistent. So, but yeah, there'll be definitely be hands on. But that's how I am with the defensive side of the football. But be more like it was probably when Kane first got here, for sure.
All right, Tom, then Dustin.
Tom, I know when you promoted Nick last year, it was all about keeping that offensive continuity going. You're obviously not going to change anything with the 4-2-5 and such, but how much does it help to have like maybe an outside pair of eyes that comes into this situation now with Charlton? And how amenable will you be as you continue to grow as a head coach to maybe listen to suggestions or things that he might see that maybe you haven't seen or tried before?
Well, first of all, I love the idea of having a new set of eyes. I just think that when we have a great staff defensively of coaches that I love and trust, and they do a great job. So, but then when you bring somebody in, and I just say, hey, even as we're going through, our entire defense right now during this process. And so, which I enjoy doing, which is a lot of fun for me. And so, but be able to say, hey, what do you think about this? And because you have a whole different perspective when you come from the outside in, and so, and now he's obviously, looking at it with vested interest, because it's not like you just have a guy that you bring in as a consultant to come in and check us out. But, this is, he's a part of us now. And so he's definitely brings, as I call it, SEC eyes, about what you're looking for in recruiting. Schematically, the things that you do. Obviously, it's a great league, with a bunch of great coaches, and he's from that group of really, really good defensive coaches. It's the Coach Saban system that he's been, trained in and worked in the last 2 years specifically. So and then I just really, Gene Chizik to me is one of the top defensive coaches that I know personally, and just does such a great job. And he was with him for a couple of years, and I leaned on Coach Chizik and his understanding of Charlton and his skill set, and he was huge in this process too. So, but I just think having a guy like him coming in here with some new ideas, and matter of fact, even already a couple little things we've already said, hey, we're gonna add this to what we do, and I really liked what they did. And certain types of concept or call or whatever you want to term it, but bottom line is I just think it's just going to make us better, and I just like some things that they're doing and the way they've done it, even some other places he's been. And so yeah, I just think that's, once again, it goes back to what I said earlier. When you hire somebody and bring someone onto your staff that is coming from really, really good program that's done a great job defensively, that's been around really, maybe the best defensive minds in the country. That's just nothing but a great thing. And Charlton's extremely sharp. You get your, engineering degree from the Air Force Academy. He's got his MBA, got some unbelievable life experiences in the military as a special forces guy and as a leader in that realm. That's a whole new world that a lot of people don't even have any idea what that's all about. I myself included, so from a personal experience perspective, but just bringing that leadership piece and just those experiences and those things that he is able to have with us, and then the football experience and the knowledge of the things and how it's one thing when you go and you visit somebody, which we all do as coaches, and share ideas, but when you got somebody that's been in that staff room, they know the why behind what they're doing. I love it. And so, yeah, I expect him to allow us to make some changes, and there'll be probably subtle changes, but there'll be changes and just make us better, and that's what this is about. We did some good things this year defensively, but we got a lot of areas I believe we can get a whole lot better in defensively.
All right, Dustin, then Andrew.
Hey, Tom, you mentioned, I guess, a couple people that he knows that you also know, but I just want to know, who was there anybody in particular who kind of flagged him for you and said, hey, this is a guy that you need to look at? And I also did want to ask about just, again, the value of his military background, which you just brought up. How important was that in your decision-making process? Just how much do you think that can bring to his staff? Well,
if I had to just say, one particular coach, Gene Chizik would be the biggest influence, went through a very extensive hiring process to find the staff he put together when he went to North Carolina. And as the defensive coordinator, and just really had some strong thoughts about him, about Charlton, and it just really resonated with me, and definitely got my attention. I guess that's probably the best way to say it. And so then I started the process to really go deeper. And I said the military part, if you are around this program, if you ask our players, I've studied the Navy SEALs extensively. Military leadership is big to me. Just the whole process they go through, the training, the way they, try to train the mind, train the body, how it separates, and the greatness is really revealed over time through different things. I've always been intrigued by that. That's always been to me, such an amazing thing to go through. And how can you mentally, handle some of the stuff that they put the guys through and the ladies through, to be able to figure out, even West Point, the academies, that's always been something that I've studied, just the filtering process they go through to figure out who's going to make it there. The book Grit that we studied by Angela Duckworth talked about that. The very beginning of the book talked about, the whole funneling process of West Point and how they go from this large pool all the way down to a narrow group of guys that girls ended up making it, in the academy from the first group that's targeted initially from a recruiting perspective there. And the grit piece is all taken from that, because that's the one variable that really is the best indicator that someone's going to have success in that world. And so I've always liked that and thought that was a great correlation to football and what we're trying to get here, and to be able to develop mental and physical toughness in our guys. And so, I think that's just a very important thing that he brought that most guys don't have. I've never been in that world myself. But I just feel like that he's been, obviously went there as a cadet to Air Force and Fish the Berries. That's someone I've always had a ton of respect for, and the job that he did there. But also just the man that he was, the character piece, the faith piece that he had in his program and how he lived his life. And so he was influenced by that. That's who recruited him. That's who impacted him. That's who hired him. And that's who he coached with. And then he went on with Coach Calhoun, who's currently there now. And so just, I just think that you talk about the real life experience he's had. He's been overseas. He's been in battles. He's fought. It's just, he's led. Just the training that goes through in that setting, how you're developed as a leader. Leadership is such a huge thing for me, such a big part of this role. We talked about it as a staff when we evaluated the guys that we brought in, like commanding the room is a phrase I used, and I had him grade the guys that we brought in. And that was one of his strengths, was commanding the room, and to be able to our projection, can he command and can he capture, the players on that side of the football. And then the ability to, just lead them in on that side of the room, the coaches that coach defense for us. And so that's a huge part of this. And obviously I've lived that myself when you go to new places, and he's the one new guy, just like I was the new guy at South Florida when I went there, the new guy here when I came here as the coordinator, and the staff was already here, and you just plug yourself in there. A little bit different than that we were there. I was putting in a new system, but as far as capturing them as the leader, so those were things that I thought mattered from his experiences and the military background that he has, and just the attention to detail that we all know is really synonymous with the military and the way that the academies are operating and how they, what they produce. And so that's always impressed me. And to me, that was just a really an extra thing that I thought made him stick out.
All right, Andrew, then Stefan.
Hey, Tom, this is Andrew with WLKY down in Louisville. Two things for you real quick. First, Charlton mentioned that the videos of LEO, he got wind of those even down there. I guess my first question would be, are you aware that all is sort of translating to other schools as well, what you guys are doing in Bloomington? And then secondly, you tweeted out that the one word that you have this year is chase. So I guess just talk about the backstory on why that was your word this year.
Okay, well, first of all, I would say, with Charlton saying that, he mentioned that to me when we first talked, and I talked to Coach Smart, which I always call the head coaches of the people that we're looking into. And he mentioned it as well, some parts of that. And so you don't really think about that, honestly. You just kind of in your own world, you do what you do. You don't know. I've had some people, talk to me about it, or maybe send me text or call or say, hey, our staff's doing this. They loved what they saw from you guys and have tried to emulate certain things from LEO and that. So which is, so I guess a little bit, but not as much. When he said it, he actually said it to our whole team when I introduced him to our players all this past Sunday, and so I just think that's just a kind of a confirmation. I think it's neat for our players to know that and to see that and realize that they're blessed to be a part of something that's pretty special, number one, and number two is being viewed and respected by other programs across this country and some of the best in this country. And so I think that's just a testament to our players and our coaching staff for the way they bought in and the way they're living out LEO. And as far as Chase, every year there's a new one word. Always begin that process once the bowl game finishes and we kind of know how things, start playing out. And I spend a lot of time. I read a lot of books and try to grow in that regard. And I spend a lot of time praying about it. I want to make a good decision. It's a really, really important decision for me. That one word means a lot. It means a lot to me. I actually you may or may not know this, but the one word I choose for our team, I personalize it for myself, and that becomes my one word for the whole year as well. From a personal perspective, I've done that every time as the head coach here. We did the one words of my family before I ever became the coach at Indiana, and all of our children, they picked their one word and they have a reason why they picked it. We talk about it. We have a one word night together. They share their one words with each other. We hyperlink a verse with that for ourselves personally. And then a song or something else, or maybe for me, there's a definition for Chase that I used in that. It was very powerful. Talked with our whole team on Sunday about Chase, what that means. So very important. I just feel like for me, it's about chasing greatness. And, we're chasing after some things here that are at a high level. And I feel like we're ready for that concept to be able to understand, we're chasing a Big Ten championship. And but in order to do that, it's about living in day-type compartments is a phrase I got from a book that I'm working on right now that really kind of transformed my thought process about how do you present that, because it's obviously about the process you go through. That's really the key to everything, but it's that daily focus. And so, but you want to chase greatness on a daily basis and to be able to not be distracted or crippled by the past that you can't change, or worried or anxious about the future that you can't control. And so to me, that's a key component to all this. We talked about that as well. We're going to talk about that throughout this whole semester, but just challenging our guys, man, chasing the dreams that you have in your heart. It came from me there's a book called Chase the Lion that I read from Mark Batterson years ago that's really transformed myself personally, my life, my own pursuits of things. And so we've talked about that as a program. So to me, that's where it came from. And but that one word to me is very powerful, and its definition, we'll talk about that throughout the whole spring, and how we're, with a ton of passion, intensity, and energy, we're going to chase after being great in this program.
All right, Stefan, last one.
Hey, Coach, just kind of following up there on the whole one word concept. I know I saw you retweeted that second grade class that was coming up with their one word. I mean, what does that mean for you to see, people outside the football spectrum kind of picking up on these philosophies that you instill in your program?
Well, I just think that I want to encourage, that's why I retweeted it and want to encourage, the teacher and the class. And I think, we do things for a reason. I think they're important. People don't have to believe in them. That's up to them. But we say, and as we teach our team, leadership is influence. And so you want to be able to have an influence, and you want to have an impact. And I got in this profession to impact lives and to make a change in people. And it doesn't have to be necessarily people that play for us or coach for us or work for us, but it's neat to be able to see that it's having an impact beyond your own program and your own state and beyond. And even this, and I think that's the beauty of social media now, with the ability to see the different places that and I think that came from within the state. But the bottom line is that you want to be able to make positive change. And I think the one word concept is a great concept. I didn't come up with it. I attached the book I got it from, and John Gordon was one of the co-authors, and Dan Britton was another co-author of that book, and guys that have made a big impact in this country, and to be able to help people with their personal lives. And that's what I talk about. This one word for us is every player picks their own word, and it's personal. And there's a story behind it. There's a reason. So the players throughout this whole season, they'll talk to their teammates and to us as a staff and tell us why they picked it. And I want the guys to know that this isn't some flippant thing that we just do carelessly. It's I want you to put some thought into this thing, and it's about creating focus and passion and purpose in your life. And oftentimes you have a whole list of things you're trying to do, or say, no, just pick one thing. This can be my focus for this whole year. One thing to help me accomplish the goals I have and to become the person that I want to become. And so if you see that happen, and it's it's affecting a classroom or someone else chooses to do it, then that's awesome, you know. And so that's what this is about. And like I said, we just try to be a positive influence, you know, in the lives of our players. And hopefully as a program, we have a chance to be a positive influence on this state and then beyond. So that's our goal here. And in the process, I think you can do great things. That's why I say it all the time. You can build a great football program that wins championships on Saturdays and does great things on the athletic field, but also at the same time is building greatness within the lives and the hearts of our players, because at the end of the day, that's what they're going to take with them when they leave with us. So that's the purpose and that's the point, and hopefully we're making an impact.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Have a great day. Leo.